So, as I mentioned before, these are the tools that allow you to change something about the image or the layer that you're working on. You'll know which layer you're working on because it will be highlighted. So that means that it's on. This means it's off. So if I were to grab my move tool, it would say you can't because I don't know what layer you want. So I have to click on the layer I want to use. The move tool allows you to move the image. This checkered background is an indicator that it is a transparent background. So if you are going to print your photos at Walmart or Costco, just know that that will be filled in with white or whatever the paper is. If you were designing graphics for television, you would know that that would be the moving video in the background. So I'm just going to undo that move. So to undo something, you're going to go Command Z. If you want to go back farther than that, you have to hold Command and Alt at the same time and keep clicking Z. So again, that's hold Command and Alt and keep tapping Z to go back. Another option is to click Window, History. I haven't done very much so far, but once you get going, you'll have lots and lots of things here. You can go back and just pull them to the trash can, what you've done in the past that you don't want. So this second tool down, this one is called the rectangular marquee tool, and if you left click on the tools that have the little arrows, it reveals a little sub menu of different kinds of that tool. So with the rectangular marquee tool, I can grab rectangular spaces. With the elliptical marquee tool, I can grab circles, etc. So the third one down, we're just going to skip over the marquee and elliptical tool. We'll come back to them later. This submenu has the lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, and magnetic lasso tool. These are the options to select a particular area of the photo, and let's say you want to do something with it, like delete it or fill it in or replace it with an image. The lasso tool allows you to grab freely. I'm not a big fan of this one because it's quite messy. The magnetic tool, which is the one in the bottom, you click once and then move your mouse around your image and it will automatically add handles to where it thinks that you would want. But if you zoom in, it's quite messy as well. So I prefer the polygonal lasso tool because it allows me to be very particular. With the selection tools, you have to make sure that you add a feather. I'm going to add a feather of 2 pixels because my image is a large image. If you're grabbing images off the internet, make sure you go into search options and change it to large images. Otherwise, your images are going to be very pixelized when you zoom in. So the polygonal tool with a feather of 2 will allow me to cut him out of the background, but it will add, the feather adds a nice little blur to the edges. If you don't add a feather, it looks like you took a pair of scissors to it, and it looks like it'll have a more of a collage look. So I'm just clicking, I'm moving my mouse very slowly around him, and I'm clicking. I'm moving much faster than I would if I was doing a project because I would want to be far more particular if I was doing something for a client. So I'm going around his ear, around his head. Now you have to be careful not to double click because if you double click, the computer will think that you are finished selecting and it will close the selection. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click just to show you. So I'm going to accidentally double click and it closes the selection. Now there are some options. I don't have to start over again. I can hold shift, and so I held shift for the first click and I don't have to hold shift for the rest. And I'm just going to keep going. So by clicking shift, I'm telling the computer to add to my selection. If I wanted to take away from the selection, I would hold down or click Alt. Okay, so now I have him selected. Now we've selected off the canvas, but that doesn't matter because it will snap to it anyways. So if I hit delete right now, it deletes him. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to undo, Command Z, and I'm going to go up here, I'm going to select inverse, and that grabs everything but him. So now I'm going to hit delete. And you see the selection is still moving here. That means the computer still thinks that I want to do something within that area. So for example, I can fill it with another color or move something else in here. But I finished working with that particular area. So I'm going to turn the selection off. Now there are two ways to turn the selection off. You can go select, deselect, or you can use the keyboard shortcuts, Command D. So now I'm going to open my background, File, Open. So you can do it this way, or you can grab this and move it in here. Actually, I don't want to do that. I'm going to delete that. I don't want to do that because it's going to make... No, it's not going to let me delete it. I'm going to hit delete. Come on, delete. My computer is being very slow. Apologies. There we go. I'm going to open it this way because when you open an image this way, it opens the properties that it's made in, and it doesn't try and make it into the other images properties. So I'm going to double click to unlock the layer. Now I still have my Idris Elba picture here and my background over here. So I'm going to click my Move tool, make sure my layer is highlighted, click and hold and drag him onto this layer, and then let go. Now you'll notice that he's very, very large. So I'm going to scale him down. So I'll make sure my Move tool is still selected. Click Show Transform Controls, and you'll see little handles that appeared. I'm just going to zoom out on my canvas so I can see those edges. Now watch what happens if I try and scale him without constraining the properties. It makes his face very squished. We don't want to do that. So you're going to hold Shift and you're going to drag from the corner. Now no matter where I move my mouse, it constrains the properties, so he still looks like a regular human being. He doesn't look all squishy faced and fake. So I'm just going to add this here, and now when you're finished resizing something, you have to hit enter to tell the computer, okay, I'm done now, and it will release the selection. So I'm going to turn Show Transform Controls off, and now we see our finished product. If we zoom in on the edges, you can see they're nice and blurry a little bit, so it looks more natural than it would if we didn't have a feather.